Hey, this is April Pierce, and this is my podcast called The Frequency Hour, where I meet like minded other healers and practitioners doing their thing, and we just talk about it because, like, who doesn't want to hear about all these amazing people? So, today I've got Matthew, and he is going to tell us all about what he's got going on in California, how it got started, and why he's doing what he's doing. So, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So I live in Mount Shasta, California, actually 7 miles north of there in Weed. And then, but not a lot of people know where Weed is. So I'd say Mount Shasta because that's the primal destination for a lot of soul seekers and spirit seekers, and
Yeah.
wanting to get connected to our land and to, and here there's just an eclectic variety of different folks looking for different things.
Hmm.
Every year we get, I host sweat lodges for different groups, yoga groups, spiritual seekers, people who come up just to go and sit on the mountain.
Hmm.
And We get a lot of Japanese people here because the
Yeah.
Japanese believe that their Mount Fuji, is connected to Mount Shasta.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a lot of people up there in over in Lassen. We're connected to Lassen who believe that all the different mountains are connected to each other. So Mount Shasta is one of those places that everyone calls the root chakra, and in a lot of different perspectives, it is. It is also our altar. We had
Mhm.
a medicine man, Red Hawk Tom, that used to live here. He died in 2013, but we used to have sweat lodges on top of the mountain, and it was a lodge that was sitting on a plateau and must have been about 50, 60 people in there. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
And the rocks would be insanely massive. Two people would have to use one pitchfork to bring this rock in. And Uncle Charlie was like that. He was he'd sit there in Sweat Lodge and he'd say, I'm a liar and I'm a thief, but I'm a medicine man, and he would just be blatantly open that way, and he was just always radical, loud, and he was just one of those medicine people who just, he fought against every kind of rule that people would put on medicine people. Oh, you can't say this, you can't do that, you can't bring that forward, people aren't ready for this. Oh, he did it anyways,
Yeah.
and that's kind of him as my elder was kind of like telling me, just like I met another medicine man a long time ago when I was living in Santa Cruz, California, Wallace Black Elk, and he was one of the last of his kind. He's a Lakota medicine
Mhm.
man from South Dakota, and when I met him, he was similar. He was very, very into laughter and joking,
Mhm.
but very serious about the land and
Mhm.
how we respect the land, how we respect the stones and the trees and the water, and and all those aspects. And over time, he used to tell me, if you wake up and you all you can think about is singing, or all you can think about is helping people, then maybe you're a healer. Maybe you should try to follow
Mhm.
that. And so it's just for people who are on the healing path. One of the messages I want to send to from myself, from my elders, that I've always been taught, that if you feel guided to do something that you love, that you feel drawn to, that really inspires you, it's important not to tell a lot of people what you're doing, because people have a tendency to bring each other down.
Mhm.
And it's important for you just to be exactly who you are and follow that way that you are feeling drawn to in the healing aspect of a human being, because it's important to follow your path, your mission that you were given at birth. And you'll be surprised once you hold that mana to yourself and you really, really focus on what drives you to excel, you'll encourage others to do the same with your own predominant spirit. And when you're on that path, it's really important to find other like minded people who
Mhm.
lift you up, who are encouraging, who always inspire, and it's taken me a long time to figure out that I don't want to be around toxic people. I
Mhm.
want to be around people who uplift, and we can kind of carry the truth. And even in certain groups, there's always competition.
Hmm.
Why? Why is there competition? There's plenty of people in the world that we can all thrive from. I mean,
Yeah.
it amazes me. And I think that a lot of it comes from my innocence because I have a real connection, deep connection with my inner child.
Hmm.
And I've always had a just an innocence about myself. And I think that's what makes me stand out from everyone else is because I have this beautiful connection with Jacob, who is my inner child.
Hmm.
And people make fun of that only because they don't understand. But if you understood my story, you would kind of have more of an insight about what that means. Jacob is not just a figment of my imagination. Jacob is a real spirit that lives inside my heart.
Hmm.
And I met Jacob when I was going to massage school in 1995 at Center for Body Harmonics in San Jose, California. And one of my teachers, Christina Feinstein, who had passed already, but she was one of my mentors, and she was also the vice president of the massage school that I was going to. And when I walked into the massage school, that's a whole other story. But when I walked into the massage school, she comes right up to me and puts her hand on my stomach, and she's looking at me, and she's like, and she's speaking to me in this little girl's voice, and I went, "What is this lady doing? Why is she talking?" And everyone's laughing like they know her, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like just standing there, like, "What's going on? Why is this lady touching my belly?" And she goes, "I know you're in there. I want you to come out and play with me." I'm like, "What's going on with this woman?"
Let's clarify.
Yeah. Hello,
Yeah.
and then she later on I got to meet her girls and her and met her, and she was such an amazing human being. She sees something in me that I could not see in myself,
Yeah.
and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me. And when whatever she saw, she said that I needed to be out more in the world. And I didn't like that. Even though I'm an
Hmm.
Aries, and I guess we have this whole
Same.
jacket. Oh,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
like to be in public's eye. I don't believe that's true at all. Nuh-uh, not me. I want to be in the back of the bus with the
Yeah.
bag over my head.
Yeah.
So she threw me out in public. We were doing this. Our school used to give away different classes, and there was a channel 9 that we would go on TV, and I would, they would give samples of massage of what we do. So she
Hmm.
threw me in there. She goes, "Here, wear this shirt and tie. I want you to go out here. We're going to put a chair here in the camera," without allowing me to say no, 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 no. Like, she just had me there, a guy sitting there, and I was doing massage looking at the camera. I went, "Oh my God, this is insane." So, and then she would just like throw me into different avenues. She would have me dress up in another suit, nice slacks, and go to this like Cisco Systems, all these big computer places to do chair massage.
Yeah.
And so it really started to break my mold of being shy, not being wanting to be seen, not all these things. And she threw me out there, and I ended up teaching massage for 2 years, chair massage. And in that time, I didn't know, but a lot of my elders do that because
Hmm.
that's part of our training.
Hmm.
We think of training as being going and sitting in school, having a structure, a curriculum, a
Nope.
lunchtime. The way
Throw
that
you
I've
out
been
there.
taught, yeah, the way I've been taught from my elders and from my teachers has always been throwing into stuff because,
Yeah.
like for me, growing up in Santa Cruz, I used to go to a lot of sweat lodges. I didn't know anything about sweat lodges. I didn't come to terms with sweat lodges until 1998,
Hmm.
97, 95, somewhere around there. And everyone already thought because the way I looked, I had hair back then, um, and my hair was really long and braided, and so they would assume that I
Hmm.
knew about sweat lodges. I knew songs, and I knew what I was doing. I didn't know anything,
Yeah.
and that's where Wallace came in, and he started teaching me right away about our people.
Hmm.
So I'm jumping kind of ahead, but
You're fine.
the
You're
bottom
fine.
the bottom line is that I was adopted when I was 3 months old. Me and my
Okay.
sister both, and
Okay.
ever since I was adopted, I made a promise to myself that I would look and search for my birth parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me 47 years to actually find my mother. And but before that time, it's been a journey, and that's how I got started on this path.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I was searching
For her,
for my
for your
roots.
roots. Yeah.
Yeah, I was searching for my roots, and I'm not sure if every adopted kid feels that way, but I know for myself and the experience with my sister
Yeah.
that she had a real negative experience with hers, because she had so much trauma and damage to her heart about being abandoned that it wouldn't come out until the time that she met her mom.
Yeah.
And it was
Triggered.
freaky because her mom looked just like her. Like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she found her mom, I'm not going to say too much because she's not here to defend herself, but it was it was a little hard for her,
Mm-hmm.
and even my mom, the mom that raised us, Clara Bueno, she was upset with her. Why do you just turn your back on her? And Nicole has a really devout, clear reason, and while she came, I went looking for her. She didn't come looking for me.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing about us adoptees is that when we're not being sought out,
It
all
leaves
that
those wounds.
heaviness,
Yeah.
yeah, all that heaviness of feeling abandoned comes up.
Yeah.
So I was reminded of that over and over again. And it took a while. For the last 6 years before I found my mom, I was going to different agencies and putting in and finding out if they were open for me to find them. And they
Mm-hmm.
were. But the only information I had was on the slip of piece of paper at the down in San Jose. There's a place where you can get any information about your past, and all it said that I had two parents from the Hispanic upraising, both olive complected.
Mm-hmm.
I had a brother from another marriage, and that was all. That was, and it sounded just like the mom and dad I grew up with. They didn't sound any different. And one of the things that I think that we do as adoptees is that we make up stuff about our parents. We make up things that we wish them to be. And for the longest time, Steven Seagal looked like me when I was growing up. It's like
I love
maybe he's
that.
my dad.
Yeah.
Maybe he's my dad. He has a ponytail. He's a tall guy. I was like, wow, maybe it's him.
Yeah.
And so we do that. And I was used to tail around with my friend Ron Pinkham, and he's another medicine man teacher. And he used to take me up to Yakima, up in Washington, for medicine dances. And he was my first singing teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And people would I would look at everyone and trying to figure out, and he goes, you look just like so and so, so you just look like, and all these different Indians, and we all looked like a lot, looked alike. And it was just a really uh it was like, almost like God was holding me in the
Mm-hmm.
faces of many people,
Yeah. So
in
you
the
were
energy
looking
of
for your identity,
it,
birth-wise, but what you ended up finding was your identity, your soul mission.
my soul
Your
mission. Yeah,
yeah.
well, there's a lot that goes to that. And
Yeah.
and so over time it was just I stopped wondering.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to, and that's when I started sundancing back in early 2001. And Sundance is a very hard ceremony to be a part of, and it originated from South Dakota, and it is a 12-day ceremony, and we 4 days of a purification, 4 days of dance, and then 4 days of purification. And in that 4 days of ceremony, we don't
Mm-hmm.
eat or drink for 4 days. And
Wow.
it's like 115 degrees out in South Dakota, but
Yeah.
the only thing that you can feed off of is the sage, the cedar that we burn, every morning, the sweat lodge, the steam that we get cleansed with.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and some guys, they'll roll around in the early morning dew on the grass and get their towels all wet. So they have that in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so we're left with no food, no water for 4 days. But everyone else in the arbor that is that is supporting us can eat and drink. So they're eating and drinking for us.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
as we suffer, right, because that's
Hmm.
what we're doing, we're suffering, we get a live tree in the beginning of the ceremony and we put it in the center of the arbor. And then they put like a buffalo heart down there. They put, water and different dulces or, different things to honor that tree with. So
Hmm.
for the next 4 days with the tree, we're suffering with that tree. All of us, humans and nature alike,
Wow.
suffering together. So at that time, that's the most powerful time that others can heal. So as we're suffering, we're in the center of that arbor, and in the arbor, we're protected by all these, in a big circle. There's 400 prayer sticks, they call them, and in
Yeah.
each of the gates are the four directions. You have the
Okay.
south,
Yeah.
the west, the north, and the I'm
Louise.
sorry, the west, east, north, and south, and so each of those gates has a buffalo skull, and sometimes they'll close those gates. Anyways, it's kind of a longer story that I want to kind of talk about, but Sundance was a huge training for me
Hmm.
because Sundance makes you grateful for
Yeah.
everything that you have. It makes you grateful because suffering becomes your lifeline. If you're not suffering, then you're not really aware
You're
about
not
what
doing it right. Yeah.
the people's needs. We're out there suffering for people with AIDS and cancer and women who are beaten by their husbands. Estranged children, other adoptees, kids who were just buried in places that there's no marks of them. There was a lot of different schools that were burned that people
Yeah.
don't talk about in that era of back then in the 1800s.
And that
And
heaviness there.
yeah, and the heaviness. So we take all those names of those children and we dance for them. And
Oh.
so it's like, we're sending those spirits home by giving of ourselves. And it's a selfless act of being a sun dancer. You're not there for fame. You're not there for kudos. You're there to honor
Hmm.
the people, period.
Yeah.
And it really teaches you how to become a real human being.
Hmm.
And a lot of ways, like the Nez Perce name for human being is Nimipu. And Nimipu is like you're speaking about the wholesome core of what we are created with. We're all here to give something of ourselves.
Yeah.
And when I found Sundance, it found me, and it really molded me into a different, completely understanding. And they say that, the first 4 years of your Sundance is you're still a child. The second
Hmm.
4 years, you're a teenager. The third four
Hmm.
years, you're an elder. And the fourth, you become a teacher. So I made it all the way to 14 years before I was asked to do something else, which was another honor of being a helper.
Yeah.
So Sundance taught me a lot. So I look back at my journey, how I met Wallace Black Elk. I met Keith Pache, who gave me my name, Joaquin Mato, Lightning Bear, back in the
Oh.
early 90s. And
Yeah.
when you receive an Indian name, it's not just a name. You're living up to that name.
Hmm.
You're doing everything to live up to lightning, the energy of light, the energy of what lightning represents. It's a power of earth. You're learning your inner power.
Yeah.
And so when we receive these names, it's to honor that name and where it came from and the first person who had that name and to honor that lineage. So I'm part bear,
Hmm.
and that's always been my thing. I'm a healer. I have compassion. I have no butt, so it goes straight down my back, and bears have humor.
Yeah.
So,
So
so
you're
we're,
embodying that
yeah.
and just doing your
So,
job.
so bears, yeah, there's a lot of us, there's a lot of bears, and I couldn't think about being anything else. My first
Yeah.
name that I was given by Ron Pinkham was Tipulana Wayakin, which was a spirit eagle. And I
Yeah.
just didn't resonate with that. It's just like, no, that's because I have a beak doesn't mean that
That you're flying.
that I'm flying. I'm too heavy.
Yeah.
So, over the years, it took me a long time to piece together everything about being adopted, going into Sundance, having a teacher of my inner child, and all these different aspects of myself,
Hmm.
And, in life, we're given these different chapters to live the fullest to,
Yeah.
and Sundance was my biggest chapter. And that's where I met my teacher, um, Kenny Farmer. His name is um, Mato Omni Omni, which is Bear Whirlwind, and he was Mato Chikala, Matawapia Chikala when he was alive, which means little bear doctor.
Oh,
His grandfather was bear doctor,
yeah.
Matawapia, and so we were always dancing at Matawapia Wasipi, which is our Sundance name, Bear Doctor Sundance.
Yeah.
So for the last, 14 years that I danced there, where I was part of Matawapia. So I brought Matawapia with me to Mount Shasta, and my altar is part of Matawapia because I want to honor my father and honor the lineage of Joaquin Mato, the Bears.
Yeah.
And so our altar at my friend's house and in my backyard here, I have a bear skull on both of those altars.
Yeah.
And whenever we honor anybody or anything, it's called Wawuksia, Wokuksuya. And so the names Wokuksuya is the word for remembering our ancestors, remembering them.
Yeah.
And so part of my work on the planet is bringing that memory to a reality. So a lot of things that my elders taught me over the years matches me, which is immaculately special. I never liked to be told I can't, or you can't do this, you can't say that, you can't teach this, you can't, you know, the white people are the white people. You got to leave them alone. You can't teach white people things. You can't share.
Oh.
My grandmother was like that. She was
Yeah, I
she was
know.
a Vietnam vet,
Hmm.
and she wore her regalia wherever she went, wherever we
Yeah.
were. And she would tell me, don't ever share this with white people. And
Yes.
she used to make these beautiful tulip bags and cedar bags and these different things growing up. And she would say, you can't share this with anybody, but you can't share this with non-Indian people. And I didn't like
Hmm.
that. I did not
Yeah.
like that. And I just said, no, that's not the way I was raised. I'm not here to hoard anything. God doesn't hoard. And I don't believe God is a punishing God. So I left her. I
Yeah.
left her. I walked away from her, and she said, "Oh, you threw me away." I said, "If you want to see it that way, that's fine, but I don't feel that's who I am."
Yeah. You
And
were just following your path.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that too that's a different chapter when I lived in Wyoming with her. So
Yeah.
I'll have a lot of stories, but so after that, when I met my true trainers, my elders, and I love Bluestone. My grandmother, she was an amazing woman. She came around after a while, accepted me for who I was. But when I started meeting like Keith Pache, who gave me my name, Wallace Black Elk was telling me about the magical medicine of the medicine man, turning trees on fire and then taking it away, and
Hmm.
explaining what real our relatives are, and things like that. Each of these men and women started molded me into the human being that I am today.
Yeah.
And I was telling my students a couple days ago that, it's hard for me to keep anything to myself when I have an experience with God, I have an experience with vision, or I have experience with my guardian angels or my ascended
Yeah.
masters.
You want
I
to share it.
share
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and the one thing that I live in truth about that has been told to me was that they say if you share this, it's going to go away.
Hmm.
If you talk about this, it's never going to be yours. If you say
Yeah.
it this way, it's never going to be told from the origination.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I
Yeah.
believe that our souls are old for a reason
Yeah.
because to get here as an old soul, we have a library of
Hmm.
wisdom and knowledge that we hold inside.
Exactly.
And it's not something to hoard to ourselves. We're here. That's why we're sent to Earth because we're here to give
Just
of
talk
who we
about it.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll give who we are, and so over the years, I recognize that as being part of my power, sharing my emotions, sharing my struggles, talking about, finding my birth mom and finding my birth father, finding my sister, finding Sundance, and even finding Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You're nodding, but you don't really hear me. I'm
No.
Bigfoot,
Yeah.
macchiato.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm like I said, I'm a strong spiritual person, and I know that there is one, and they just live in a different. They're able to multi-dimension, where we can see them 1 minute and then they're gone. There's one thing that I was wanting to share with you, with what you were talking about earlier about your grandmother saying people don't understand the white people and all that. So I do one thing, I call it eye scrying, where I can like take photographs of people's eyes and like see spirits and things. And
Mhm.
so I had this one client that showed me a picture of her ancestor, and I kind of wanted to show it to you because we were talking about. So he's like a Blackfoot Indian. I don't know if you can see. Let me see him with his. Come on now, with his
Is,
headdress there.
is
Um,
that a bear or wolf?
It's a bear. It says it's a Native American Blackfoot Indian. And then she showed me a picture of her grandfather that we're here in the South in Tennessee, Alabama, and back then he was told you can't talk about your. He was full blooded. You can't talk about your Indian lineage. You can't share it. You can't dress in your headset. I mean your head dress. You can't do any of that. And so this is a picture. I hate this filter. Let me take it off. Um, let's see. So I just want to share this. Okay, so you can see it better. You can see him. He's just a country man, there with his
Hmm.
guitar and overalls. Well, I took a picture of her eye, and this is what came through, which I thought was really cool. So this is inside her pupil. You can see this man's face here in the middle. And then if you look, he's got something on his head, and you can even see the little holes there where the bear's nose is.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah. I could see that.
he showed up in her pupil,
Wow,
and he's in his full dress.
wow, that's
And I
amazing.
just
I
thought
could see
that
that.
was really cool that, here when he was here, he wasn't allowed to do that. And so he didn't just show himself as her grandfather in the overalls. He showed himself as the full-blooded Indian that he was,
Hmm.
you know. So I just kind of wanted to share that because I thought that was kind of fitting to what you had just talked about as well. That sometimes we're taught you can't do that and you have to live a certain way. And I just really thought that was very beautiful that he wanted to show his presence in her life after he passed, but he came
Hmm.
in his full native headdress.
Yeah, regalia. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. And there's still people like that today.
Hmm.
And there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
On the reservation, regardless of what people might think, especially in Yakima, there's a lot of bigotry. I mean, when I was there in the grocery store, they
Hmm.
followed me around. The white people followed me around in the grocery store, and I'm from California,
Yeah.
and they thought I was going to steal something, and they
Ah.
followed me around. I'm like, "What is this woman? What is your deal?" And she's like right next to me. I'm just making sure you're. And so Ron says, "This is the way it is here. The
Mm.
white people don't trust us. They throw rocks at us, and
Oh.
there is so much hatred from them." And then you have that aspect, and then you see them back here in Stanford Powwow in California,
Yeah.
and people want to take their pictures, and they say,
Mhm.
"No, get away from me. What are you doing?" Because they have to live with that every single day.
Yeah.
South Dakota, same thing. It's real there. It's real. And then when they comes, they don't trust a lot of people unless they're
Mhm.
native
Yeah.
because of that reason. There's a lot of that there that we don't understand because we don't have to live with it every day.
Yeah.
They struggle with that every single day.
Well, in this
And so,
area, the Trail of Tears, where the government made the Indians walk from one area, through the South, to, on their way to Florida, I believe. Um, that's honored, every September here. because this is where they came through. And a lot of my ancestors and everyone in the community has, when they go back on their lineage, they have a Cherokee Indian or a Choctaw or Apache because somebody took them in as like, oh, we're going to take care of you. They married them. They had a family with them. Um, but yeah, I have several people that says, my great grandmother, she hated white people, even though she married one. Like there's that trauma that she grew up with as a child.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of that here, and then we have, of course, the South with black and white people. Um, that's healed a lot, but it's I'd be lying if I said it was completely gone because it's not.
Yeah.
That's something that's definitely went through this area that's created a lot of scars for, people. And you still have those families that don't trust black people or don't trust white people, and um
Or
it's
just any people.
or any people at all,
It
but
doesn't have to be white. Yeah.
yeah, it's
But
really it's sad, but it's you can't ignore that wound still needs to be healed.
so part of that is what I was going to get to was that one thing that we all have in common is our connection.
Mhm.
Matoani Oni was a great man. His name, American name, was Kenny Farmer, and my mother's name was Carol
Mhm.
Apple Farmer,
I love that.
and
Yeah.
she's still here. She's my Ina, which is my mom, but my adopted mom, my Hunka mom.
Yeah.
They both adopted me when I was sundancing out in South Dakota, and we have a tendency to do that a lot. We adopt a lot of friends, and I have like 19 brothers and 12 sisters, just from adopting from different tribes and different people coming together.
Yeah.
We all like tell jokes and celebrate.
Yeah.
But one thing we have in common is that we all love to pray. We all have this innocence, this energy connected to us. And so my dad or my adopted father got a vision that for the eagle to meet the condor. And it
Oh.
was more than just the vision alone, because for him, everything was never just super small. When we had our Sundance was almost two football fields big. It was
Mhm.
huge. We had two drums. We had the young drum and the older drum,
Mhm.
and we had, hundreds of people coming to our Sundance. And he never did anything small. The trees were huge. It took 100 of us to carry the tree into the arbor.
Oh.
It was amazing. And over the years, as we get older, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. But
Well, your back
uh,
gets so your back's getting older.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
so one of the things I loved about dancing with him was that he invited everybody. We had
Mhm.
German people there. We had black
Mhm.
people there. We had Chinese people there. We had Japanese people there. We had white people there because he believed that everything inside of us was driven to one source.
Yeah.
That's God, great creator. And we all got along. When you're
Mhm.
suffering, you don't worry about black, white, or red, blue. I mean, you're suffering. You don't
Yeah.
care if they're gonna offer you water, you're gonna take it.
Yeah.
you know. And so when we're suffering, we're in our true state. Now, one of the things they say about sun dancers is that because it was a man thing, but then we started to
Mhm.
share it with our sisters. There were We were 65 of us that would dance, and there was 35 men and 30 women, and we would dance men women all the way around because we're one big family.
Yeah.
And one of the things they said is that the man gets to experience Sundance the same way a mother gives birth. The
Wow.
pain of the mother giving birth is what the men feel. So
Mhm.
we're all falling down. The women are just standing there dancing like it's not a
Just
big
still
deal.
going.
Yeah, they're just going because they know what suffering is. Men, we can't handle it.
Oh,
And Sweat
yeah.
Lodge, same thing. All the women are sitting up while the men are laying down.
I love that.
And so
Yeah.
we honor the Wion Wakan, which
Oh.
is light on earth. Light
Mhm.
Wion is the sun. Wakan is women. So Wion 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 is the word for light on earth, but it's also for women in Lakota.
Mhm.
So we honor the women there. And I'm kind of getting off track a little bit, but so my dad had this vision of bringing all peoples together, and so when I'm teaching, I teach all the same thing in the same way it is passed from him, it passed to me.
Yeah.
Now, the sad thing is that after he crossed over and left his legacy, no one really follows that in South Dakota. They're just keeping it their own. Only Indians can come into this Sundance when it wasn't
Oh,
like that before. But that's
yeah.
just the way things are.
I know, but I feel like that's going to change for you as well in the future. I think there's going to be another change coming that pushes everybody to start seeing each other as equals again. Like you said, suffering does that,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like that's the end of the story with that.
Yeah, I hope not. We have another Sundance here, a family dance
Mhm.
for my other adopted father, Walking Eagle.
Mhm.
He's a Karuk spiritual leader here in Mount Shasta, and I've known him for about 30 years. And he adopted me in 2009. And so he has like three adopted children: me,
Mhm.
another brother Mario, and Krishna. And so, and then he has, daughters too. And so they've accepted me as one of their sons. And so
Yeah.
I am his chief drummer. I sing as the chief drum chief for his Sundance.
Yeah.
So I've been singing for about 30 years now. But it's again, I was thrown into it. I was thrown
Mhm.
into it. Here, Matthew, here's a stick, here's a drum, sing. I don't know what to
Yeah,
do.
I
You
know.
know.
I had a
You know.
podcast with someone a week or two ago, and he was asking me about a past life regression that I had done, and he was like, "Well, what happened?" And I was like, "Well, I was singing to the water," and he was like, "Oh, well, let's hear it." And I'm like, well, I was like, I'll try to copy it, but I'm not in regression right now. But then, of course, I'm just sitting here like singing on this podcast, and I'm like, oh, but I've kind of like you. I've just kind of learned to, baptism by fire. You just when you decide to put yourself out there and talk about these things that most people feel like they can't talk about, and yeah, you just jump in and do it. And there's just something freeing about trying to live that existence where um yeah, I try to bring my authenticity and compassion and care and my mission to others. And like I said, I love to talk to other people and like hear their stories and help spread what they're trying to do. And the more stories I capture and the more stories I share, that's just, reaching more and more people to where they're like, oh, wow, they're talking about things I only dreamed of that we could talk about one day. And so, yeah, it's very exciting.
It is. It is very exciting. I love how everything is kind of shifting right now and
Yeah.
everything's being kind of brought out to the open,
Yeah.
because I don't feel like I'm running in front of the crowd, and I'm kind of
Mm-mm.
like standing back there, but everybody, everyone else is figuring it out as we're going along.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I like seeing that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had those moments where you start thinking, it'd be a great movie? Is to think about,
Yeah.
and then they make it. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
that really happened, man. I should have wrote about it. I should have got a license for it. Got paid for it.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of what we do in the collective.
Mhm.
As we begin to grow and we begin to enlighten ourselves, we begin
Yeah.
to pass that on, whether you know it or not.
Yep.
And it's a matter of really looking how deep you can go into yourself.
Yeah,
So after
exactly.
having all these, experiences with spirit, and awakenings and all these different things I have happened over the years of my life, it has caused me and molded me into the man I'm here today for today.
Yeah.
One of the things that really used to bother me when I go to psychic fairs was I'll be like a kid again, going around talking to all the different healers, and
Mhm.
wanting to share my stuff, wanting to see everyone's crystals and this and that, and just be a kid in the candy store.
Yeah.
But when people started coming in, everyone got really, like protective over their stuff and very, just everyone changes when money comes into play or
Yeah,
hoarding their clients or hoarding this or competition. And that just really
yeah.
diffuses the whole reason why we're here together.
Exactly. Well,
And
I opened my healing center here, like I said, in North Alabama, and that is one of the strongest things that I wanted to do was to meet and work with other practitioners because I do a lot of things, but I mean, I don't do everything. So if
right.
you see a client, that's what we have in this area is the arrangement of, oh, if I see someone that needs to see Becky, I'm going to send them to her. And if so and so sees somebody that needs something that I do, so we're really good at trying to work against that competition thing.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sure there's probably still some room to work there, but I'm truly trying to build this network of, um, like you said, there's so many people that need healing. It's not like you're going to run out of clients. I
Yeah.
mean, the truth be said, you can't see everybody.
Yeah.
Um, but just being, aware if I see a client that needs a past life regression that I think that a lot of their healing comes from other lifetimes, then I'm going to send them to Jennifer, because that's what she does. And then when she gets them to realize what's
Mm.
going on and they deal with it, then she can send them back to me for something else. But there's so many multiple layers of healing. Um, yeah, there's room for everybody. And,
Yeah.
there's so many modalities and specialties. Um, it's just the thing to do. So we kind of practice that in my area. If there's someone that I know that does something different than me or better than me, and I think my client needs that, then I give them their card. That's that's respect. That's mutual working together. This mission's not meant for one person.
So yeah, and what brings me to, living here in Mount Shasta, uh, there is another kind of phase of development that we have here,
Hmm.
and that is the etherical.
Hmm.
The etherical is learning to listen to spirit and really voicing your inner light to that collective.
Yeah.
And then when someone walks through that collective, they're going to feel more than just spirit. They're going to feel your intent of a
Hmm.
human sense.
Yes.
And it's going to feel okay. Everyone receives love differently.
Hmm.
We all feel and experience things differently that teach us something. If when I was younger and I was teaching an older person about metaphysics, how to speak to their guides, they would say,
Hmm.
who are you? You're like, 20? Well, I'm 22. But, and I would teach them about their guides, and they just didn't want anything to do with me because I was too young to know anything, is what they were
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
But I have a very old soul,
Hmm.
and I've known that for a long time. And
I think your
uh,
trauma of the adoption and everything pushed you to awaken faster than most people.
maybe,
Yeah.
but in Kauai, I was just in Kauai this a couple months ago in February, and I had an experience where I met about 30 parts of my soul,
Wow.
and each of them had a different teacher value that they live with.
Hmm.
And I didn't know that all of those teachers were me.
Hmm.
And then by learning all that from all my different aspects, I met two other teachers that
Hmm.
were going to teach me go forward. I just had a heart ablation 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
a cardiac ablation. And in when I went out and when they put me under, I think I went there because I came back with a different kind of armor, a different kind of
Ah.
sense about things that I didn't have before. And
Yeah.
I recognized it because I recognized change in myself.
Hmm.
And one of the hardest things for me is to slow down and let things unravel,
I
Just like
know. It's
Christmas,
the
Christmas,
Aries. It's the
I'm
Aries.
gonna lay behind the couch and wait for Santa because I have a list of things I want, and I end up
That's
falling
right.
asleep every single time.
Yeah,
You
my
know.
gods just allowed me to get sick about a month ago because they kept telling me, rest is also part of expansion and like spirituality. Like you got to know when to rest, and I'm like, I got too much to do. I got this to do and this to do. And so yeah, I got sick, and I hadn't been that sick since I had COVID, and it took me out for about 2 weeks, and I'm like, fine. But yeah, That's hard for me to do too. I'm an Aries as well, and it's yeah, I just always got something to do, and I
Yeah.
always hear from people. I don't know how you do everything you do, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like that's my I'm a multitasker, you know. That's what brings me joy is accomplishing things relatively quickly.
In spirit, I can multitask multiple things.
Oh
In
yeah.
physical life, forget about it. I get confused. I get misdirected. My cat will run by, and I go, "What was I coming in here for? God dang it!" Then I have to go back outside and go, "Oh yeah, yeah," and then go back
Yeah.
inside because
What
I
was that?
imprinted myself. So one of the powerful things that I have learned to use in the etherical is singing.
Yeah.
When I sing, I can visualize multitude of things that I want to put into that package.
Mhm.
So that vibration is alive with the continuation of it. So if
Yeah.
I send the song into the forest, there are many people that go up into Mount Shasta just to hike or sit and meditate.
Yeah.
So I'll connect with the Lemurians, I'll connect with the Palladians, I'll connect with them. It's easy for me to connect to the vibration of land. It's
Yeah.
always been something that was natural for me.
Yeah.
When I go to Kauai, same thing. She calls me out there. This last time I went to Kauai, I had no money. I have these meds that I have to take for my heart.
Mhm.
I have uh, I didn't have my license, the real license you're supposed to have. You know, where you get your your birth certificate and you take it in to get your real license
Yeah.
to travel. And so I didn't have those things. And I told Mother Kauai, I said, "Hey, if you want me there, these three things got to happen." And they did.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
did. Within 2 weeks, I had everything I needed. Two
Yeah.
days before my flight, I got my my ID in the
Yeah.
mail. It was like, oh my God, I was like too close for comfort. But
Yeah.
and so I have a very, you know, and I can say that without ego. I can say that with because it's
Mhm.
always been this way. I have a tremendous guidance,
Support system,
support
guidance.
of the
Yeah,
planet.
you do.
And everywhere I go, I can feel what the land was feeling before the people were there.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important that when we think that just because we were saving, somebody wrote me a while back. She said that, there was this Indian land up here where we live, and we saved it. And I said, did you ever come to think about asking what the land wants? You know,
Mhm.
why do you automatically assume you're helping the land? Maybe
Yeah.
it's not what the land wants. Maybe the part of the land is, you know, they want to be able to carry on their legacy this way.
Mhm.
But we, as human beings, have a tendency to overthink things,
Yeah. Yeah, we
and
do.
and and so when we get our songs, we don't go to people. We go to the river.
Yeah.
We go to the forest. We
Yeah. And
go and
see, in
dig.
my yeah, in
We
my
go.
regression, that's what I was doing was singing to the land and singing to the water. And she was telling me this was like a Lemurian lifetime. Um, so do you the way I understand it, like we hold frequencies in our bodies.
Oh,
Whoop, you went away. That we hold frequencies in our bodies that exchange information with the land. And we awaken things and we reactivate things and we have this communication like a grid worker. Is that kind of what you see yourself as, not just the relationship, but do you also see yourself that you activate or you have this communication back and forth?
my grandmother used to tell me that on the planet we have power spots,
Mhm.
and so I traveled a lot. I traveled over to Alaska. I traveled over to. I've been in Argentina. I've traveled from one end of the United States to the other 3 times. And every time I go on a journey, I'm being called to stop at certain places
Yeah.
and pick up my medicine.
Yeah.
And so I'll go to those spots and I'll pray and I'll sing and if a song comes, I'll sing it. You know, sometimes they're not always my song. Sometimes they're a song of the land. You
Yeah.
know,
That's
and I'll sing it.
beautiful.
And so it's more of the spirit of the land, the echoes of the people that were there prior to whoever's living there now.
Okay.
And it's easy for me to tap into that because I'm part of that vibration. You know, I've
Yeah,
been on
exactly.
Earth back and forth for many, many lifetimes.
Yeah.
And no, not just on the earthly plane, but the Lemurian plane, the Palladian
Mhm.
plane, you know, and those aspects I still don't really comprehend or understand fully what that means. But I do know that one of the truth seekers is suffering. And when we suffer, there's a part of us that opens up. And that's why I think that's why Sundance was so important to me,
Yeah.
because when I suffered, I got information. I
Yeah.
saw things. I went places. I
Yeah.
had visions, and those are all things I hold dear to myself. And when I was on Hamblecia, Vision Quest, suffering there, it's a different kind of suffering because you're sitting in one spot for 4 days. Um, there's another aspect that comes to that too, in that suffering, and I started to feel the layers within the land, and I started to hear the truth of my life. Things started
Hmm.
happening that I didn't expect happen, and they did. Every time I would say, "Well, how is this possible? I've been
Hmm.
looking for my birth parents for 36 years, and you're telling me I'm going to find them in another, and the spirits told me you're going to find them when you're 47. What?
Hmm.
How could that be? Because you're going to be ready by then. You're going to be ready." And
Yeah.
I had no truth of myself, even tried to believe that, and it happened.
Yeah.
And when it happened, it just concreted every belief system that I had against it to go away. I recognize that if I follow Spirit's voice,
Hmm.
then everything will come into fruition.
Yeah.
So it's been a legacy to be able to feel other energies of the land absorbing into me.
Hmm.
And as it absorbs into me, I have my own structure, my own filter about how that comes through me, just like a song. My dad can sing a song
Hmm.
a certain way with endearing and love in his voice, and it'll come out of me in a different way. And
Yeah.
people are affected by it differently. And
Exactly.
so everything has a vibration, everything
Hmm.
has a spirit. And so when we combine ourselves with that part of ourselves to that frequency, to that spirit, we
Yep.
see everything that spirit sees and more.
Yep.
And so when I work with people, right, when I'm working on my students or my clients, it's about me looking inside them for the things they can't see in themselves, their filter.
Yeah.
And we can awaken. I say we because it's not just me. It's my elders. It's my guides. It's my grandfather. It's my bear. That we go in and we awaken people,
Yeah.
awake, and
To where they
and
can see from
to
that
where they
different perspective. Yeah.
will more than see, feel,
Yeah.
because everyone receives love differently.
Hmm.
Everyone has a different way of change for them. A Christian won't change until they are visited by Christ.
Hmm.
An atheist won't believe in God until they're taken in the arms of the great creator, and given love that they've never felt before. There
Yeah.
has to be a shift that happens to people the way they understand it, and no one can tell them different,
Yeah.
and that's okay. God doesn't care whether you believe in him or not. He believes in
Yeah.
you. And it's and
Exactly.
it's and it's written in the clouds, it's written in our planet, it's written in our soul.
Hmm.
And so for me, it's always been about not just telling people what they have, but showing them in the
That's
way that
beautiful.
they understand it for themselves.
Yeah. And
I've been
you did.
teaching I've been teaching metaphysics since 1995,
Hmm.
and every student I've had has taught me something about myself.
Hmm.
And so I have poured everything into a lot of different students. I have a few of them that are very elite. One of them has gone to be global now.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Look her up, Katrina Armstrong.
Okay.
She's an amazing healer, and she talk your ear off. But yeah, she's an amazing person. She's Cherokee Indian from Arkansas.
Yeah.
But and so there's a lot of us who carry the knowledge and the wisdom of
Hmm.
these libraries within our souls, and they
Exactly.
come out through our own personal expressions. They come out through us in a way that other people can feel themselves
Hmm.
sharing themselves. And again, for those who are listening today, don't ever give up on your chance to be who you are.
Hmm.
If you wake up wanting to be a healer, then maybe you're supposed to be a healer, you
Yeah.
know, and try not to go around telling a lot of people that, or else people will shut you down. Just let yourself carry the truth inside yourself. Keep your mana,
Yeah.
and let that be, your talisman, something you carry with yourself. It's important.
Well,
Um,
tell me like what all you, I know you just mentioned about having students and things, but tell me like what all you offer that people can come to you and receive, like sign up for.
I I mostly give off when people are ready for me. When
Hmm.
people are ready for this step. Not
Hmm.
everyone is looking for what I have. Um, I have a specialty that not a lot of people have, and it's called energy transference.
Okay.
And it's grown since I went under the knife this last couple of weeks ago. I came back with new armor and new
Hmm.
insight. And Master Kuthumi used to, Master Kuthumi is,
Hmm.
he's one of the Ascended Masters. He used to tell me, he goes, you cannot hoard this. You have to share it with every single person on earth. I don't want to. It's just,
Yeah.
it's too valuable to me. What if someone misuses this power? He goes, well, then it's on them. You can't keep it to yourself. So
Yeah.
I've had a hard time marketing or even talking about it because it's something that it is dear to me. And
Yeah.
why I say that is because we all have our own perspectives on what creation is, what spirituality is, what metaphysics is, what healing is to us.
Hmm.
And I've been built up over time, over lifetimes, molded into this being. And I met Christ. I met Christ in Colorado, Crestone, Colorado, and he came. It was the third time that he came to me, and I'm nothing special. I don't know why he came to me. I don't understand half of it, but when he came to me, he was I was standing in I was standing in this medicine wheel, and I know a medicine wheel. Well, what the heck? Everyone is going to go to this medicine wheel, but I was standing there and I was looking down. And I was upset about something, and I was with my friend Katrina, and he came in and I heard him say, "Did you know? Did you know when you channel the ascended masters for the people of Earth, we channel your soul for the people of the light?" I went, "What?" And I looked over at him and I went, "Oh." I said,
When did you get here?
"No." I just said, "No." I said,
Uh,
"You don't look like the pictures." He says, "I get that a lot. I get that a lot."
I love
And
it.
then because he had green eyes, he was
Yeah.
darker complected. He looked
Yeah.
Eastern Indian to me, and he
Yeah.
and he was wearing a plaid shirt with Levi's and loafers. And I'm like looking at him, and then he's like, I said, "Can you repeat that?" And so he said it again, and he said, We want you to be a master this lifetime. We want you to come into your masterhood." And so I'm still living off of those words that he said, and that was back in 2019.
Yeah.
And he is one of the teachers that I don't know exactly how to explain his relationship with me or even Mother Mary's relationship with me, but I have both their statues in my house
Hmm.
because and Saint Francis as well, Merlin and a few others, because each of them I believe I've known them and we've gone together in different lifetimes together where we
Yes.
just kind of continued where we left off.
Yes. That's what I'm
And
picking up as
so
well.
yeah, and so it's been an amazing lifetime of soul lives that I've been introduced in. This life is something that I'm slowly uncovering, but I have the ability that I can actually activate another person's internal octave.
Okay.
An octave is a vibrational of singing, of prayer, of worship in a person's body that comes straight from God. It's like a spark of light that we all carry as human beings.
Hmm.
If everyone was praying on the planet and you turned off all the lights, you would be able to see all the lights of the people on Earth. That's
Yeah.
our spark. And
Yeah.
each of those octaves carries the residence,
The codes.
resonance of all the lifetimes that we have.
Hmm.
And there are some of us who know how to tap into that in a person and activate it.
Wow.
And when it's activated, they get all their memory back. They get all their wisdom back. They get all their healing abilities. But
Hmm.
it's not in a way that like it flushes them with, oh shit, what am I going to do with this? It means like, wow, okay, that makes sense now.
Hmm.
Wow, that makes sense. Okay, I understand that. And it's like it automatically feeds us to want more.
Hmm.
And that's what God wants. He wants us to want more of love, want more of helping others. Want that increase of intelligence is more than just being sought after. It's
Yeah.
about you really relating to your inner soul's love, light, your container. The
Hmm.
container that we've been built up over the years. My container is different from your container. You're
Yeah.
going to see some things different than I receive. I receive and talk to my guides differently than what you do because my innocence and my struggles, my suffering, everything that I've been involved in has created this container to where, I can totally focus on just 100 of my guides all saying the same thing and then channeling it into one person.
Yeah.
It's and the way that I was taught by my metaphysical teacher, Brother Anthony, was that you can be an ant in the center of consciousness and soak all that in.
Hmm.
You don't your mind tells you, oh no, this is the rule, this is the other rule. There's no rules in
Yep.
consciousness. Consciousness is everything.
Hmm.
The ocean, the dolphins taught me, the Lemurian dolphins taught me, the Naya in
Yeah.
Kauai. They taught me that the ocean isn't water, it's consciousness.
Wow.
And when I was laying in the ocean, just laying there, I can feel what they were saying because it was like land. I can feel all the energies. I can feel all the people who perished in the ocean. I can feel the different aspects of the ocean, what it was before it was ocean.
Mhm. The
You know,
connection to
because
everything.
because we're old. We're old souls.
Yeah.
If you have a soul, you're old. You
Yeah.
got to the place in spirit where you finally have a soul now. And that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
so you asked me what I teach is that I help people remember. I teach, levels of consciousness with channeling, mediumship. The one thing I really love is tethering, and I love teaching tethering and mediumship to be a spiritual rescuer.
Yeah.
How to speak and summon the light from heaven to bring it on earth, and speak to suicides to help
Mm.
suicides go home. There's a lot of, and I don't really like to mention it because we're all in this together,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of religious people who condemn people like me because I don't see any rules to God. I don't
Hmm.
see any black, white, red. I
Yeah.
grew up with every nationality you can think of, and I've accepted. And I've struggled. I was bullied. There was things that happened to me when I was small, but I was also protected by spirit. I
Yeah.
have stories of angels saving me from gangs when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And they were protecting me for a reason.
Yeah.
And
Because you had
so
something that you needed to do. And so they protected you so you can do your mission.
So now I'm teaching different levels of consciousness to people. The one thing I'm working on now, that I just started writing up after I came out of my ablation is a transference of energy. And I did
Mhm.
that when I was in Hawaii. I had 18 people sitting in front of me while I sang a song, and then I gave them a meditation and I created a container around them.
Wow.
And the light of the Creator came down and touched every single person in that group, and they
Wow.
were crying after we were done with the meditation because they can feel the resonance of light that came through us. And
Yeah.
now again, it's not me.
Mm.
Behind me, I have
A
huge
whole team.
bleachers of guides who sit behind me, sending everything through us.
Yeah.
Because my soul's name is Wintaw. When I got Wintaw, it was when I used to meditate back when I was my early 20s. I'm 59 now. And in my early 20s, I used to travel. I used to astral project into myself, into my solar plexus. I used to travel into my universe. And as I was traveling through there, I ended up on this plateau, and all these guides were saying the same thing, Wintaw, Wintaw. And I asked
Hmm.
Master Cthulhu, I go, what are they saying? They're saying your name. Your name is Wintaw.
Ah.
And I said, what does that mean? He goes, it's the voice of spirit.
Ah.
Makes
Well,
sense.
I know I'm a healer as well, and I didn't quite know how it was happening, but you know when your guides are helping you like touch somebody, heal somebody. And I had this one client that could see things and she didn't tell me that. So she looks up at me while she's on the table and she said, "Why is there an Indian man holding a fox brushing your hair?" And I start laughing and I'm like, "Well, okay, I didn't know who it was." It's like I didn't know who was back there. But I was like, I don't really think that he is brushing my hair. I think he's, like I'm just the middle person. Like that's how I work. And God's come in to help me do energy work on what that client needs. And I just allow myself to be a container. But it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting how she was like, why is there an Indian man behind you brushing your hair? And I was like, no, he's not brushing my hair. Probably needs to. But yeah, so I mean, I'm at the point in my journey where I don't quite understand everything. Uh, but I'm following, like I'm getting guidance and I'm following to find out my journey and what I'm supposed to do here. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful journey to, especially when you want to be in control of everything, to sometimes just have to surrender and know that
I don't know anything about that, Aries. I don't know anything about controlling anything.
I know it's like dang it, because I
Yeah.
mean it won't keep me from asking. So anytime I'm around anybody that can tap in, I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? And they're always laughing, like, well, your God said if you knew that, then what fun would it be to be here? And I'm like, come on, throw me a bone. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I can see you. There's a lot of parts of yourself you're living through right now. There's a lot of different aspects that you're choosing to walk into and embody yourself into.
yeah.
But if you don't mind me telling you,
No, go ahead.
one of your primal states is the color purple.
Yeah.
Purple is the natural energy of the abilities that come through your soul. It's
Hmm.
like you're a natural at a lot of different things. But one thing you got to really look out for is to be molded by people who are not at your level.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, you need
They
to
did.
step out of the lower vibrations and step into your higher vibration because it's time.
Yeah.
And they're saying that you've waited 6 years now, and it's time to now step into it. 6 years, 7 years, it's time. No more. Don't do this again. They'll keep coming in for you, but your your chariot awaits. They're saying.
Yeah, that's what I
So
keep getting is so I had these last few weeks where I was sweating, especially like in weird places, like in the crease of my arm, just in weird places, and it's not hormonal like
mm,
menopause type sweating.
I didn't need
It,
to know that, but okay.
well, I was just clearing that up. It's not that. But and then just extreme exhaustion. And
Mm,
that went back to where I was telling you where, I ended up getting sick and they told me, they were like, we told you you need to rest. We told you that like we're changing your body. We're opening up channels in you and you're
yeah.
growing, but your body has to catch up to that. And like you're gonna have to rest. And I was like, I got too much to do. So they took me out for a couple of weeks.
This is, I don't know if you can see it. This is
Yeah,
called a rainbow unicorn.
yeah.
I found it in Kauai. Pineapple, blueberry, ginger, carrot, celery, beets, 2 lemons, and 2 apples.
Okay.
And yeah, and a thing of blueberries, and juice it.
Yeah.
And it will help to get everything moving out of your body. It
Yeah.
will help you instead of sweating, it will just
Mhm.
come out of
Yeah, well,
your
that's what they were telling me is that the things had to leave, and that was how
mhm.
it was coming out. Um, and they've tapped me into like I make herbal teas now, also in my business
Oh,
because part of my healing, my guides kept saying they need to leave with a hot tea. They need to leave with a hot tea. So I've got a line of shows healing frequencies teas that I actually hand make, and then I put them on the scaler and imprint frequencies into them to like help with grief and heartache and inflammation. Um, so yeah,
mm,
they've got me doing that too. But it's like I said, it's healing's just not one thing. It's a lifestyle, and it's so many different things that you can do: dancing, singing, um, eating healthy. I mean, there's just so many modalities
yeah,
to
yeah.
to where you can go with it, and it's beautiful.
I have a school online. It's called school.com, and I have 100 and some people in there. And on Tuesdays, I give a meditation.
Hmm.
I have I called it the prayer circle, everyone comes in there and I channel whatever the collective wants to bring in at that time.
Yeah.
And they're all recorded and I have them in my schools and the school's free. You don't have to worry about anything unless you want to take a course or two.
Okay.
I teach, everything from channeling to mediumship to shamanism and a little bit about my, the background of sweat lodges, picking sage and so on. So I've allowed myself to be an open book to go ahead and just kind of, but what I love mostly about this work is that I can see into people and I can see exactly what will inspire and what will challenge them to see themselves more.
Yeah.
And that's the transference of energy that I did with those 18 people in Kauai.
Yeah.
And so my next mission is to live in Kauai. And I want,
Mm.
I just, after this heart thing, I said, I don't want to live the rest of my years suffering. I want to live a place where I'm going to be really, because I mean, that island loves me.
Yeah.
Everything loves me over there. And just everything that happened, I started thriving. I
Mhm.
started and just really taking off in everything that I was. And Mount Shasta has been really great for me. I have a house here. I have family here. Our sweat lodges are here. Our sun dances are here. But it's just, if I don't seek out change,
Mhm.
I won't continue to grow and be molded into the person that could be. This is just
Yeah.
another chapter.
Yeah. My guides just said what you just told me is the same message back to you. That it's time. It's time.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I'm asking Kauai again to come through and, and assist me in that. But the one thing I didn't get to touch on today and is that when I first met Bigfoot,
Oh yeah.
um, I first met Bigfoot was through Uncle Charlie, Charlie Tom, the medicine man. He took me
Yeah.
up to a place called the Marble Mountains,
Yeah.
and it's where a lot of the Sasquatch people go. But Bigfoot and I have a connection, just like I do with Christ. Shut up, Merlin. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
So,
I got
but he's
jokesters
not as
too.
hairy. Merlin, behave. Dang it.
Mhm.
Um, so when I was we went on this journey, it was in 2005, and where we walked out to is called Spirit Lake. Tom Lake, Spirit Lake is where all the Bigfoots are, and there was children, there's women out there,
Mhm.
women Bigfoots, and you can hear them all talking to each other. And at first, with a crowd of people who are like-minded, it doesn't phase you. If you're by
Yeah.
yourself, that's a different feeling
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah, it would be a little.
So one night after Sweat Lodge, we were sitting out there, and I was around the fire. It was just me and Uncle Charlie. He grabs my arm and goes, "Did you hear that?" I said, "No." And then I started listening. I could hear someone singing up there, and I asked, "Is that Thomas?" He's like, "Wait, wait, wait," and it was a person singing really beautiful songs. And I didn't know. I was trying to think in my group who was there with me. No, Ariane can't sing that way. And Mario can't sing.
Yeah.
Mario
Yeah.
has his own way of singing. And then he goes, "All right." He goes, "I want you to sit there and I want you to sing three of your best songs back to back."
Mm.
Okay, okay, okay. So I was thinking, he goes, "Go." And so I started singing the first song and
Throw you
really,
out there.
really loud. And yeah, and then I paused and then they sang back to me. And then I sang back to them. They sang back about six times until my throat got started getting hoarse. And he
Yeah.
goes, "Okay, stop." And then I didn't hear anything anymore. I heard a bunch of rustling, and then I thought they were coming down to say, "Hey, that was awesome that we did that."
Yeah.
And I said, "They didn't come down. Who was that?" He goes, "That was Macchiata." Who's Macchiata? Bigfoot. So I was singing with Bigfoot back and forth. Him and I
I
were
love
having
it.
sharing songs.
Too bad you didn't
And
record
the
it.
crazy thing about that is that I have a brother who died when I was a sophomore. He was murdered when I was a sophomore. And he used to sing to me on a plateau when I was growing up in spirit. I didn't know who he was because I was adopted. I didn't know who he
Yeah.
was, but I knew I had a brother.
Yeah.
And he would sing to me, and I would sing back to him, sing it back and forth. And so when I did that with Bigfoot, it brought back all those
Yeah.
memories,
Yeah.
that feeling of singing to Tony. And and so when I sang to Bigfoot that night and he sang back to me, he left me with a gift.
Wow.
Outside my tent was a huge friggin' footprint in the dirt, so I
Wow.
took a picture of it and
Yeah.
framed it. But he came that night and he was talking to me, in his language. He was like, "Yakamachi, yakamachi," and I said, "I don't know what that means," but it brought shivers into my body, and I was like I was just like frozen in my sleeping bag. Don't move, don't move. Because his energy is so powerful and strong. And when he said that to me, I asked Uncle Charlie the next day, and Uncle Charlie just laughed. He goes, "You must have been scared." I said, "I was." He
Uh-huh.
says, "It means it's okay. It's all right.
Don't
It's all
mean
right."
dinner.
Yeah. He said he was telling you it was okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Don't
Yeah.
worry. I'm not here to hurt you.
Yeah.
And it's a very magical place where we went to, and not a lot of people know about it. But I think that's one place I shouldn't be talking about because
Yeah.
that's a very powerful, magical place. Little people,
Yeah.
fairies, everything is there.
Yeah.
But so when I met Bigfoot for the first time, I kept seeing him long after about 6 or 7 years after that. We saw him. I was with my brothers, Art, Jack, and Mario, and a few others, and we were all putting people up on the hill for Hamblecha, a vision quest. And we looked over and we saw Bigfoot on the other mountain staring at us. And of course, we all wanted to go wave back because that's what
Yeah.
we do. But he just kept looking at us and like walking, and then looking at us and walking up the hill.
Yeah.
And we were just standing there, just staring at him. And for the longest time, having these experiences here in Mount Shasta, it wasn't something that we're like running around wanting to tell the newspaper everything, because it wasn't that. It was that this is another being
Hmm.
and I felt that he's of native descent.
Hmm.
And they saw us as their reflection.
Brother. Yeah.
Yeah, as brothers. And we used to have these war dances on the mountain.
Yeah.
We'd have a bonfire, and then we would wear, in the Kuruk tradition, it's called war dance. And because I was one of the adopted sons, that you would wear elk on you and paint our face black and white on the other side, and we'd dance in the night, you know, war dances. And then Bigfoot would stand up by this tree, just staring at us, and we can all
Hmm.
see him. But when we're in that dance, we're in that energy. It felt
Yeah.
like we're all one,
Yeah.
all one together, including the people who were watching us. And it just, when you come to Mount Shasta and you learn and you come into our sweat lodge, you become intertwined into that consciousness. And that's what I always tell people: if you're going to come to Mount Shasta, don't come here as a human, come here as spirit.
Hmm.
Go into the sweat lodge, get yourself, remove your human body, get
Hmm.
into your spirit, and then you'll be able. Mount Shasta will show you all the beautiful things here.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see things that other people can't because you're into that spirit world.
Yeah.
And that's how Walking Eagles teach. That's how Uncle Charlie used to teach. Is that when you become part of the creation energy of Mount Shasta, you see everything that Mount Shasta is,
Yeah.
and you'll see
Well,
the layers of consciousness
well,
there
I
here.
know you've sold me. Like I want to go now. So, because that's beautiful. Like who want? I mean, everyone knows Mount Shasta's got this unique energy, and it's special. And I think that that would be a wonderful blessing for them to Mount Shasta to allow you in as spirit and show you around, take you in. Um,
And
and
it just
and
so happens we're having a retreat June
oh
1st to June 5th. Myself and Jeannie Russell, who is from Kauai. She's the woman I
yeah,
stay with when I go to Kauai. She has a healing center there called Dolphin Healing Touch Center in Kapa.
okay,
And so she comes here once a year. We do a retreat here. I go back over there. In the wintertime, we do a retreat over there, back and forth.
yeah,
So she's coming, and we have this big, beautiful house here, next to like this monk um, this temple, and right across the street is this house that we have. It has like 6 bedrooms, and you can camp. And I'm probably going to camp outside because I like being outside. But
mhm,
it's a 5 day excursion here in Mount Shasta. We'll be going to different areas of the land, meditating. I'll be drumming on the mountain. We're going to go pick some sage and teach people how to bundle that up and make their own medicine. And then I'm going to have a sweat lodge on
yeah,
that Friday. So I'll be pouring lodge for the people who come up for that.
yeah,
And I also pour for, of course, for different groups that come up, for their retreats and so on.
yeah.
And so
So
does
how
my
would
dad.
if anybody's interested in that, how would they get a hold of you and book for the retreat?
Yeah, just I'll put my website here at the bottom of here, and then it should be on my website.
Okay.
Here, so they'll help us put this here.
Well, it has been beautiful to hear your story and get to know you,
Hmm.
fellow Aries.
Yeah.
Feel
Other
like
than that.
we understand each other. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on and talking with me and spending some time with me today. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you.
So if you want me to, I can leave you with a song,
Yeah, that would be
and
beautiful.
that way, you can kind of carry that on to your. So the prayer, the intention is to have you excel in all the aspects of your being, everything that you want to provide into the world, the people that you want to help, and to make your herbs and your medicines magical for
Mhm.
every person, to feel the difference in their core and their octave and their light being and their connection to all things. And we ask for a prayer for the children, that ones that are suffering today and the ones who are hurting in their hearts. We ask for this light, this energy of the song to touch their hearts in a way that will help them to feel that connection and that beautiful brilliance that each of us carry as child, as children, as innocence.
Mhm.
Matakiasan. Hey, hey, ha, ya, ho, oh, hey, hey, yo. Ay, ha, ya, hey, ha, ho, oh, hey, oh, hey, yo. Way, yo, ha, ya, ya, hey, ya, ho, yo, hey, yo. Dako wakache Hawaiian kapoyo Chanu pakile wakayelo Wachi oya teki Bleche ampelo Hey, 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 ha, ya, ho, hey, hey, yo. Oi, hi, ya, hey, ha, ho, hey, yo, hey, yo. Way, yo, ha, ya, way, ya, hey, ya, ho, yo, hey, yo. Dako wa kanche Hawaiian kapoyo Chano pakile wakayelo Wachi oya teki bleche ampelo hey yo hey ha ya ho yo yo Ay, hi, ya, hey, ha, ho, hey, yo, way, yo, ha, ya, hey, ya, ho, yo, yo. Dako wa kanche Hawaiian kapoyo Chano pakile wakayelo Wachi oya teki bleche ampelo hey yo. How matakia samopla tankashwe chosen wokia dako wakan. Lakota ye
Mm.
te ki wakin mato wopala. Ho matakia.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me share that. My whole body got hot. So
I
I
did
hope.
too.
Don't tell nobody I
Yeah.
got you hot, Aries.
Well, there's always a burning over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
That's
I
right.
love it. So I am just you've brought a little spice to kind of threw on the fire for me feeling like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, even though I initially didn't want to. So thank you.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love sharing everyone's story, and yours has been, a blessing. So I
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
you letting me hear it. You feeling comfortable enough to share it with me and everyone. And Yeah, I'll have all of your information on the YouTube channel so they can contact you and experience more personal, work with you if they feel called to.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for having me on here,
All
and
right. Well,
blessings
thank
to you
you.
and your family.
All right. You too, sir. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're welcome.
Bye bye.